Hush, young lady.
No, you got the wrong girl. It's the wrong girl.
No daughter of mine gets married except in the house of God.
Oh, really?
A house of God is a temple.
And when she does get married, she gets married properly like a Wellington.
You'll get your wedding, and it'll be the biggest wedding the Bronx has ever seen. You'll see. What a Lewis thinks, he thinks big. Well, he tells you.
Big, huh? Big. I'll show you. You're still not too big. Now keep going.
A family squabble from Falling in Love Again, a nostalgic look at the 1940s. Falling in Love Again is just one of 4 new movies Roger and I will be reviewing this week on Sneak Previews. And this is Roger Ebert, film critic of the Chicago Sun-Times.
Across the aisle from me is Gene Siskel, film critic of the Chicago Tribune. Well, in addition to Falling in Love Again, which is a movie directed by a 20-year-old, we'll also look at My Bloody Valentine and Francois Truffaut's latest film, The Last Metro, starring Catherine Deneuve. But first, Gene starts with Sunday Lovers.
Sunday Lovers is the name of a movie that is just awful. 4 short stories about love, each one set in a different country. The American segment, a short film that lasts about 25 minutes, features Gene Wilder as a mental patient who is a very nervous lover. When he encounters Kathleen Quinlan, a pretty young woman he meets at a dance at the asylum, he gets out on a pass and they have a first date. He's filled with anxiety. She is gently aggressive.
Do you know your way back to your sisters?
Did they name Venice, Italy after... I was going to say, did they name Venice, Italy after Venice, California? I mean, did they name Venice, California after Venice, Italy?
Are you wondering how to get out of kissing me?
Holy mackerel.
You don't have to kiss. We can kiss another time. Weren't you wondering how to get out of it?
I was, but I changed my mind. How'd you know what I was thinking?
Magic.
Never been to Venice before. Venice, California. I've never been to Venice, Italy either. Now when I go back, I can tell all my friends I spent the weekend in Venice.
Does that mean that you'd like to kiss me again?
I'm not letting you see my eyes anymore.
You can see what I'm thinking too, you know.
This is supposed to be a movie about tenderness and love, but it is so self-conscious, so cloying, so much like a trendy psychological essay written right in the California hot tub that you want to throw up. Wilder and Quinlan eventually take their clothes off, she more than he, of course, and I found myself wincing in embarrassment, not at the issues being discussed, but at the timid, self-conscious way in which they're presented. Another segment in Sunday Lovers, I think it's the 3rd out of the 4, involves Lino Ventura as the boss of a Paris company who is entertaining a boorish but important American client. The American notices Ventura's attractive receptionist, asks to have her join them for dinner, which makes Ventura feel like a pimp, but he reluctantly agrees and he takes his receptionist to his home to give her some appropriate clothes from his wife's wardrobe, but she picks a provocative dress.
Don't you think it's better like this?
Well, it's different.
I bet your friend will like it. I'll find some shoes and we can go.
No, listen here. You can't go like that. It's impossible.
Why?
Because he'd be shocked and, no, really, I know Americans. They're very puritanical, you know, and he could get a wrong idea about you. I mean, if I were in his place and I saw a girl walk in dressed like that,
What would you do?
No, please, at least put on an undergarment. I hardly know the man.
You said he was charming.
Charming, charming.
What are you doing, Francois?
Oh, good evening, Mother. This is Christine from the office.
Oh, yes.
Yes, I am taking her to meet an American and...
But that is Michelle's dress.
Yes, that is Michelle's dress, yes, because she didn't... Look, Mother, we're very late. Excuse us, huh? Good night. Good night.
Now that segment could have been an interesting vignette about the way bosses treat women, sort of a French 9 to 5, but unfortunately, this segment of Sunday Lovers loses its guts and becomes a sex farce with a ridiculous happy ending. As a matter of fact, I didn't like any one of the 4 segments in Sunday Lovers.
You know, anthology films like this used to be popular in the 1960s, Yesterday, Today, and Tomorrow, and so forth, but this is a real mess, and I never had the feeling that it started out as an anthology film, and they had this idea to begin with. It seemed as if they collected these 4 films from the 4 corners of the earth. The other 2 have Ugo Tognazzi and Roger Moore in them. I was just appalled.
The Roger Moore segment is particularly appalling, use that word. It's a sex comedy about him wanting to sleep with a bunch of stewardesses. I mean, where did they get this stuff? You know, I think Dean Martin made a film back in the 60s, Boeing or something like that. I mean, this is really cornball material. Some of the stuff looked grainy and old. I don't know when this stuff was made. Very disappointing.
Probably the most intriguing segment is the Gene Wilder segment, which occupies the land between psychodrama and psychobabble. I took a lot of nerve to make it, and I wish they hadn't had the nerve. Let's move on to our next film, which I have a certain amount of affection for, not because I think it's a masterpiece, because it certainly is not a masterpiece, but because the film reflects a lot of ingenuity and dedication. The movie's called Falling in Love Again, and it's the work of a 20-year-old former child actor named Stephen Paul. He wrote it, he directed it, he has a supporting role in it, and he convinced Elliott Gould and Susanna York to forget about their usual salaries and act in it, star in his film. Gould and York play a long married couple on a cross-country drive back to a reunion in the old New York neighborhood where they grew up, and here they are in a hotel room where they've stopped for the night.
Tired?
Not really. I'm just thinking about getting a head start in the morning. If we really take off, we can make 400 miles tomorrow. Oh, I have an ingrown hair. Please, Susan. Do you think we ought to take the children out to dinner, or should we order in?
Let's order in. $7.99.
Yeah. I guess I will go to sleep. Yeah, I'm gonna get a good night's sleep.
Okay, Harry.
Sue, I love you. I always loved you. It was love at first sight. I remember the first time I saw you. It was in your father's dress factory. I went to borrow $1 from my old man to get a jelly apple on a stick, some joke books, and admission to the Freeman movie theater.
Hello, Charlie.
Hey, you have an extra $1, I'll pay you back. Well, how about 50 cents?
Hey, what about your future? You'll be getting out of school soon.
Don't worry, I'm gonna be a great architect. Hey, thanks, Pop.
You really like it?
Oh, yes, my dear. Looks lovely.
Mommy and I took a trip into Manhattan today, and I had it done. Where's Daddy?
Oh, he's having lunch. Are you going somewhere special? Forget about it, Harry. She's out of your class. She's Wellington's daughter. Where are you, Shelley? You beetle crickets?
The whole movie is constructed like that scene. As they travel to New York, Elliott Gould has continual flashback memories of his adolescence in the Bronx in the 1940s. He remembers his tempestuous courtship of Susanna York, and in this scene, it's a flashback to that young man's chaotic wedding day.
This entire affair put together by Stan the Con. We would not be here eating all this food and drinking if not for Stan the Con.
How could you do this? You're using this wedding for your own good. You lend him $20? You get back $20. Who thought of the right words for the invitation? Who paid for everything? Tell me, has Mrs. Blumenthal come in yet?
Not yet.
Do you know this unexpected party of 7? We're gonna have to take care of it.
We certainly will.
Good evening, Mrs. Lewis. Stan, what did you see in those invitations?
Inasmuch as the groom will shortly be leaving for the front and unable to support his bride, they would suggest a cash gift.
What is this leaving for the front?
You said you might volunteer, didn't you?
Stan, I got married today. I'm not volunteering.
We'll send somebody else.
have strange glasses.
Anyone else but me. Anyone else but me. Anyone else but me. No, 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 don't sit out me.
You're not eating, my darling.
I'm afraid I've lost my little appetite. I am.
What is this, some kind of crazy joke? They call this a sandwich. What are our friends going to say?
You won't have any.
That's another one of those patented Hollywood ethnic movie scenes where they have lots of old uncles eating spaghetti and ugly little girls. It's always the same. They never invite anybody but colorful characters. Falling in Love Again is a goofy, sort of lovable, but very corny little film with a lot of predictable situations and a lot of puppy love. The story of Elliot Gould and Susanna York in the present and their story as those kids in the past never really come together, though, but this was an ambitious project for a kid to put together, a 20-year-old, and although I can't recommend the movie, I do admire the fact that Stephen Paul was determined enough to make it.
Well, I might be more impressed by him if he had made a good movie. In fact, a lot more impressed. I don't care if a movie's made by a 68-year-old grandmother or a 20-year-old kid. What's up on the screen for me is very disappointing here. I think you're absolutely right. The stories never mesh, particularly the opening story, which we think the movie's going to be about. Elliot Gould and Susanna York, a married couple with teenage kids of their own, and they got a lot of marital problems. That story is never really told. I think if people walk into the movie theater expecting a story about Elliot Gould and Susanna York, they're not on screen, but what, 15 minutes?
At the most, I think 15 minutes. I think Stephen Paul got them into the movie on deferred salaries and then built them up to flashback to the movie he really wanted to make, which takes place in the 40s, which leads him to another problem, because if that couple was 17 or 18 years old in 1944, then they'd be in their mid-50s now, and I don't think Susanna York would find that very flattering.
Yeah, well, we don't believe it with Gould either, and also I think that people really are going to be burned if they go in and expect a Gould and York story. I think that this is a very misleading, not very good film. My Bloody Valentine, our next film, is another mad slasher going after mostly women victims, this time in a coal mining town. I'm really getting sick of these pictures. The movie starts right out by assaulting us. Even before we get to read the title, we see a woman in a state of undress get impaled on a pickaxe. Typical of the dull thrills in the movie is a scene where the mad killer stalks his victim in a laundromat decorated for Valentine's Day.
Oh, no. I wonder who sent this. Jake? Oh. Roses are red, violets are blue. One is dead, so are you? No! No! Get away! Get away! Get away! No! No! Ah! 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 Get away! No! No!
Well, there's a disgusting new wrinkle in this kind of film. We see a middle-aged woman hacked apart. The big guessing game here, if anybody cares, and I sure didn't, is who is the crazed killer wearing the wetsuit and the miner's helmet? It turns out that his identity has to do with a killing that happened 20 years earlier on Valentine's Day in that same town. Gee, isn't that interesting? You want to see someone receive a bloody human heart in a Valentine-shaped candy box? Then you'll love My Bloody Valentine.
Gee, I guess I didn't love it very much. Was it only 2 years ago that we were praising a movie called Halloween? We thought it was kind of nice, had some style and wit to it. This movie is about the 7th direct ripoff of Halloween. We have New Year's Evil, Prom Night, Friday the 13th, Terror Train. They all have the same formula. Something terrible happens 20 years ago or 10 years ago. Then there's a party and all the teenagers get together in the same place, the old train or the old deserted mine shaft or something, and the berserk maniac comes down on them with a knife or a pickaxe or something. It's First of all, it's disgusting. Secondly, it's so appallingly lacking in imagination. You would think that they could at least come up with a new disgusting angle.
Yeah, I'm sitting there wondering why these people get involved in these films. I mean, what do the women think who are getting pickaxes thrown at them? What do they think they're contributing to art? And I'm also, as you rattle off that list of names, I'm thinking of all those hours we've both logged in movie theaters, slumped over in our seats, just shaking our heads. Boy, I wish this trend would really end.
Boy, well, Bloody Valentine isn't doing very much business. Maybe that's a good sign. Let's move on to a much better movie. Francois Truffaut's new film, The Last Metro, is his biggest success in a long time, and it's a backstage story set in a Paris theater during the World War II years of the Nazi occupation. The story is about the theater's owner, who is Jewish, and he hides from the Nazis in the basement while his actress wife, played by Catherine Deneuve, follows his instructions and runs the theater upstairs. Here they are, shortly after he's moved into his hiding place. She has to come downstairs to tell him the plans for his escape have fallen through.
J'ai une mauvaise nouvelle pour toi, Luca.
La Propagandestaffel interdit la pièce.
Non. Tu ne peux pas partir dans 8 jours. La filière qu'on m'avait donnée n'est pas bonne.
Mais tu m'avais dit que c'était sûr.
Mais c'était jamais sûr. En fait, le type qui faisait passer les gens à côté de Nevers, eh bien, il s'est fait arrêter. Alors j'ai peut-être une autre solution, mais j'hésite.
Pourquoi? Il peut se faire arrêter aussi?
Non, 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 c'est pire que ça. Il y a des passeurs, des soi-disant passeurs, qui prennent l'argent et qui après arrêtent leur camion juste devant la commande d'Entour. Tu vois ça d'ici?
Comme ça, elle touche les deux côtés.
Et puis tu n'es pas un client ordinaire. Puis il y a beaucoup de gens qui connaissent ta tête, et puis il y a ton accent. Non, il faut que tu te prépares à passer plusieurs semaines ici. Ça ira? Tu pourras tenir?
Bien sûr que je pourrais tenir. Il le faut. Mais je déteste me sentir inutile, paralysé, coincé. Tu as parlé à Jean-Loup, il va nous aider?
Écoute, j'ai réfléchi, mais je préfère ne rien dire à Jean-Loup. Il connaît trop de gens. Il va partout, il parle, il blague. Ce serait trop grave. Tu sais combien de lettres de dénonciation de juifs arrivent par jour à la police? Dis un chiffre.
Je sais pas, moi, 300?
1500. 1500 lettres par jour. Mon patron est juif, mon voisin est juif, mon beau-frère est juif. Non, tout le monde te croit parti. Tout le monde. Il faut continuer comme ça et que je reste seule à m'occuper de toi.
Well, I think you can see there they really are a couple in love, all right, and in addition to that, she admires him immensely for his courage, but the situation gets complicated when Deneuve also falls in love with her leading man in the play upstairs, an actor played by Gerald Depardieu. He decides to leave the play, and in this scene, she comes to say goodbye, and finally the barriers break down and they admit their love for each other.
J'avais l'impression que vous entrepreniez quelque chose avec toutes les femmes, sauf moi.
D'abord, c'est pas toutes les femmes. Et puis, vous m'intimidiez. Parfois, vous me regardiez sévèrement. Et même avec une certaine dureté.
Avec une certaine dureté, vraiment?
Ah oui, je vous assure, je me sentais jugé.
Mais c'est tout le contraire. J'étais troublée par vous. Oui, c'est vrai, j'étais troublée. Et comme j'avais l'impression que tout le monde allait lire sur mon visage, alors je me durcissais. Et à force, vous en êtes venu à me détester.
C'est pas vrai. Je ne vous ai jamais détesté. Mais je ne comprenais pas pourquoi vous étiez redevenue si distante après m'avoir embrassée.
Tout le monde s'embrasse dans le théâtre.
Pas forcément sur la bouche.
Moi, je vous embrassais sur la bouche?
Oui. Le soir de la Générale. Pendant le rideau.
Non, non, sûrement pas.
Vous m'avez embrassé sur la bouche.
Ne me dites pas qu'il y a deux femmes en moi.
Si, justement. Il y a deux femmes en vous. Il y a une femme mariée qui n'aime plus son mari.
Ah non. Non, n'essayez pas de deviner, vous ne pourriez pas comprendre. Faut pas oublier le maquillage.
Merci. Ça, je le laisse pour mon remplaçant. Là où je vais, on ne se maquille pas.
On ne se maquille pas, mais on se déguise bien un peu, non?
Pardon. Pardon.
Catherine Deneuve and Gerald Depardieu. He's a popular new French actor who's been in a lot of movies lately. Well, I've got two opinions about The Last Metro, and I'm kind of torn between them. On the one hand, I like the movie very much as a kind of bittersweet backstage melodrama. Drips with irony, romance, and colorful characters. And I admire the look of the film, a strangely theatrical lighting that Truffaut uses in wartime Paris. On the other hand, this is an awfully superficial movie about a very serious subject. Essentially, Truffaut buys charm for his movie with his actors who believe the show must go on and his backstage story, while at the same time trying to beg or borrow significance from the backdrop of the Nazi occupation. And I don't think he takes that backdrop seriously enough.
I agree with you both for your appreciation of the film and the criticism that you're making. I liked it, but I think I know exactly what you're talking about. We are interested here in the most dramatic episode in recent French history, and some great films in the last decade have been made about it. We have La Comme Lucienne by Louis Malle, The Sorrow and the Pity by Marcel Ophuls, two of my favorite films of that entire decade. And now Truffaut comes, and it's a little soft. He's interested, of course, in the banality of evil. These French people seem to be more interested that this little theater go on than that they save the world of their own that's going outside. You know, give them the bread, and they don't care what happens to their neighbor. That's the message. But at the end of the film, something strange happens. There's great applause for this guy who comes up from the cellar
underneath, right?
Yeah, the people applaud, and it's very romantic in the way, the soft, romantic way that Truffaut makes some of his films. And I think we end up thinking that somehow there's been some great victory achieved here. And really, I think that the film should have been a little harder edged, a little meaner, a little rougher on the French people.
We've talked before on the show about the fact that there seem to be two Truffauts. There's good Truffaut, who's kind of nostalgic and sentimental and whimsical, and then the kind of, wouldn't say bad Truffaut, but grim Truffaut, who writes he's very concerned with death and he's obsessed with the grave and so forth. This is good Truffaut making a movie about a situation that in a way also calls for grim Truffaut. He should have pulled that other side of his personality off the shelf, I think.
I agree with you.
So let's take another look at the movies we've already reviewed on this program. Sunday Lovers was the desperately uneven, mostly unfunny anthology film about four offbeat lovers. Two strong no votes for that one. Falling in Love Again was the corny, nostalgic story about growing up in the 1940s. I had a certain affection for the movie, but Gene reviles it. Neither of us can recommend it. Two more no votes. We were both disgusted by My Bloody Valentine, the latest mad slasher movie named after a holiday. Another two no votes for that one. We both have reservations about Francois Truffaut's The Last Metro. For me, as a bittersweet drama about life in the theater, it's fine, but as a serious consideration of occupied France during World War II, it's superficial. Gene has other problems with it, but still, two yes votes with some qualifications.
Yes, the drama of it is very strong, and it is very appealing. It's only in the end, in the serious consideration, I think that we both feel let down. Okay, right about now, a lot of people are wondering what's happened to Spot the Wonder Dog, who picks our dogs of the week, the worst movies of the week. Well, we've given our dog the week off. He's okay. So we can comment now on the nominations, the Oscar nominations just released in Hollywood. Speaking for myself, I was impressed by the high quality of the 5 nominated Best Pictures. I enjoyed each one. The Elephant Man received 8 nominations. It's the story of a cruelly disfigured Englishman in his battle for self-respect. Here, John Hurt, as the masked Elephant Man, is interviewed by his doctor, Anthony Hopkins.
Have you always been the way you are now? Are you in any pain? Are your parents still alive? Do you understand me? Your father, your mother, are they dead?
Raging Bull is the saga of a bruised and battered boxer, Jake LaMotta. Also filmed in black and white, it received 8 nominations, including Best Actor for Robert De Niro and Martin Scorsese as Best Director. Also nominated, Coal Miner's Daughter, the up-and-down musical biography of country singing star Loretta Lynn, played and sung by Sissy Spacek from age 12 to age 32. Ordinary People, the family drama about people who have trouble expressing their feelings about themselves and each other. Robert Redford was nominated as Best Director.
Calvin!
Just a second. Smile.
Calvin, give me the camera.
No, I didn't get it yet, Beth.
Come on, give me the camera.
Dad, give her the camera.
I want a really good picture of the two of you, okay?
No, but I really want to get a shot of the three of you men. Give me the camera, Calvin.
Not
please.
until I get a picture of the two of you.
How?
And Tess, Roman Polanski's beautiful vision of Thomas Hardy's novel, Tess of the D'Urbervilles, the story of a troubled English girl. Polanski received his third nomination as Best Director.
One little kiss on those ruby lips, or even on that Celtic cheek, and I'd drive at a snail's pace. Wait a moment.
But I don't want to be kissed, sir. Stop, I beg you. Well, do you wish I don't mind?
Oh, boy.
But I thought you'd protect me, baby kinsman.
Kinsman be hanged.
That's an impressive list. It seems, however, that every year when the Oscar nominations are announced, film critics typically knock the Academy's choices for being too commercial, weighted too much towards big box office hits. But not this year. This year, I think the Academy has made some excellent choices.
I was very pleasantly surprised. For once, the Academy and the critics seemed to be looking at the same group of pictures. And it always seemed to me as if there was some kind of unwritten law in Hollywood that every year they had to nominate at least one big box office turkey that had no business being named one of the year's best pictures. Films like Hello, Dolly, Dr. Dolittle. This year, they overlooked some of the biggest box office hits like The Empire Strikes Back, The Blues Brothers, Stir Crazy, Airplane, 9 to 5, The Jazz Singer, and instead they went for a very interesting group of pictures that told about human lives.
They didn't get, any of those films didn't get the major awards, that's right.
Right, so I'm very pleased. I think it's a distinguished list. That's it for this program. We'll take a longer look at all the major Oscar nominees on a special sneak previews 3 weeks from today. And next week, Gene and I will be back in this front row, the same old balcony here, looking at some more movies. Until then, we'll see you at the movies.
Funding for sneak previews was provided by this station and by other public television stations.